Sorry?
It's one thing we lack in Canada sometimes is just we're a young country, right?
Yeah,
Obviously.
yeah, more so if we could get out into the Maritimes and
Right.
and Montreal,
Quebec.
and I love we've both been to Quebec and seeing some of the architecture and everything there. It's pretty cool. But
it's gorgeous. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
you're not that far. I mean, you're hop, skip, and a jump from Quebec City and things like that, right?
Yeah, about 6 hours or so. So I mean, not super far. My folks live in outside of Toronto. They live in Ontario. And,
Whereabouts in Ontario?
Whereabouts in Ontario?
Stony Creek.
Okay. I'm from Ontario originally, so.
Oh, nice.
I'm a Scarberian by birth. A suburb of Toronto, for those who may not know.
My mom is originally from Canada, and so I have a lot of family that lives outside of Montreal in Quebec.
Very cool.
So talking to you guys, our Canadian accent may come out a little bit.
It happens when I talk to my mom and dad. But
And we thought you had the accent, not us. We're perfectly clear.
Hey.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I might need to get my passport updated.
Yeah, you have to.
Absolutely.
Why, is there something you need to come up here for?
Thanks.
Investigating.
We usually go up at least once a year. We go up and visit Brad's parents. We go right through Niagara Falls, and
Beautiful.
we usually go, like I said, we go up for about 1 week at a time because it's a 13-hour drive for us. So.
Well, there's a group in Ontario that we talk back and forth with. So if you if it's safe and it's available, just let me know, because I can always put you in touch with them. And I'm sure that if they've got something going on, that you might be able to tag along.
Oh, that's
we try to do that. I mean, work with. We've all within the group have come from something else, and that's when we started Cornerstone a few years ago. Is everybody was in different groups, or and we wanted, like it said, like Cornerstone, the foundation, something to start on and something solid to start on. And we were fortunate that people like Tracy and Glenn and Janessa, and I mean, I can go on and on, that came on board with us from different teams, because either they weren't getting some satisfaction in there, or they seen something maybe on investigation techniques, or how they talk to clients or anything like that. So we were very, very, very lucky to get an extremely talented group together. Everybody's got their own different strengths more than anything. And it's great when we go investigating, because you're able to, if somebody goes in a different direction, like a feeling of something or talking about something, then it's maybe the questioning changes. Or certain people get grabbed underneath the bed. Oh, did I mention that, Tracy? Sorry. And that you've got that rush of adrenaline. But it's always fun, because you're able to feed off of each other, and that makes it really, really fun, more than anything. I mean, it's and trying to work with groups that have outside of British Columbia. Well, there's maybe one or two inside of BC that we'll work with, but outside of it, that find, and it's like Tabitha talking to you about how it's like for you guys to investigate in your neck of the woods, where it's like in our neck of the woods, and what their similarities or differences or anything like that. It's always good to have communication. Because talking about the paranormal, regardless of what that is always healthy. And the more you can learn from different teams. If you look on our Facebook page, we've got so many people that and team members from around the world that you can draw stories and you can draw similarities about. And I that's always good. because people are sometimes afraid to talk about the paranormal and their experiences. It's always, for them to come forward and tell their story in a non-judgmental way, makes it better for them. But then also people can talk about, oh, you have that, I've had this, and then the communication starts and people can talk about it. So sorry, Tracy will know this. I talk a lot.
Yeah. I will occasionally kick them to get them to be quiet for you guys, okay? If you see me going like this, that's what I'm doing.
No worries. It's all good. So yeah, so I've got I've got my phone down here, so I'm trying to just read comments from the live, and right now everyone's just saying hello and welcome and
Hello.
so I do have one folks here has asked, what's the most memorable investigation that you guys have done?
We've got a couple, but Tracy, you want to take that one?
Oh yeah, there's a couple. I have a couple that wasn't necessarily really full of evidence necessarily, or equipment evidence, but for me, I want to go in without, so I'm not really super technology. I go in, my technology is the body, is the spirit, is the psychic bit. But there was one, there was an inn. Are we allowed to say the name of it, Paul?
Which one was this one?
Sasquatch?
Oh, Sasquatch, absolutely. Yep. Yep.
I just said it, so I guess
You
we're
just said
allowed.
it.
You just said it. No, you can't.
No,
You
it's
can't.
too late now.
Take it back.
Yeah, no editing
back.
on live. So Sasquatch Inn was I went in and really didn't want to know much about, and a lot of our investigators don't want to know a lot about the site that they're visiting, especially if they're coming from a more of an intuitive place as a team member. And so the being grabbed under the bed was certainly a thing. So I had another investigator there was one particular room that we knew had a lot more activity than some of the others perhaps. And so another investigator went in there and she's like, Tracy, come quick. So I come and I'm standing at the end of the bed, and it's a hotel room. It's just a bed and whatever, a little bathroom. She was in the bathroom. And all of a sudden I get physically grabbed from under the bed so both, by hands, both legs. And I just jumped out of my skin. Before I even jumped, the other investigator was heading out the door, and it was like the Three Stooges or the Two Stooges trying to get out the door, run away. And as when I went back, we got brave. We went back and we looked under the bed. And so it was like a typical hotel room where it actually didn't have an under the bed. It was all boxed in.
Oh.
And so the owner later came and we told her our experience, and she said, oh, that's so interesting. One time we got snowed in here and we had to stay at the inn, and we stayed in that room, and my mother was sleeping in the bed and I was in a cot beside her, and she kept saying to me all night, my mother kept saying to me all night, stop standing at the end of the bed, stop looking at me, why are you doing that? And she hadn't left the whole time. So that's one of my fun stories, but there's lots.
Yeah. I think for you, Janine, it was there's certain places, again, Tabitha, probably you guys have the same rules, there's some places not a problem, we can talk about it. They embrace what's happening in their location. Over 99% of our places that we investigate are non-residential. So it's historic buildings or restaurants or inns, like Tracy said, or things like that. There's that other thing that if we capture evidence, we'll ask them, can we share this? Yes, as long as it's not, we can't talk about it, or don't tell them where you're at, or as long as there's not a picture there that references here.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other one that, nope, just between you and us, and that's where it stays. And we respect that. And one of the reasons we get invited back to a lot of these places is because of that trust. But I remember, anyways, get back to the track is Janine's experience, I think, was yours in the basement of the Kilby Heritage.
Oh, that was a great one. Yes.
I love
Yes.
that one.
I didn't think you were going to go there, but yes. So we had gone, and it's a historical site, and there's like an old general store, and beneath it is sort of an ad hoc schoolroom, for lack of a better word. And so the one time we went down there and we put out the REM pods and the K2s and everything we had went off. And it was like
Wow.
crazy. Like, it's like, okay, what is going on here? Like we tested, it wasn't any wiring or anything like that, but it was just like, just going off silly. And suddenly it's like, okay, wait a minute, it's a kid. Right. So we changed our line of questioning, and it was like at one point I'd said something like, oh, do you see how that light goes off? Do you see how it doesn't hurt you? And we don't hear anything at the time, but later on going over the evidence, this little voice goes, no. So it was like
Oh
a
my.
validation. And we went back there, and I actually brought a Peter Pan book, which is one of my favorite things when I think there's kids there. And I sat in the dark reading Peter Pan, and we actually had an
Aw.
SLS there, and something came and sat down in front of me and listened
that's
to me
awesome.
read this story for, and it looked pretty big. It didn't look like it was a child, but yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a
That's
cool
cool.
place.
Yeah.
Probably for me, it was at a location I can't say, but it's a fairly large facility, and we were granted full access to it. And we were walking through the restaurant, and there was one of our team members was named Jude, and we again, nothing during, we had our digital recorders going, and we were going through this large kitchen to get into the lower levels, and there was so listening back, somebody singing "Hey Jude," and that was crazy.
Oh
That
wow.
was
That's
crazy.
awesome.
Same location. I just gotta add this on because I got goose pimples happening. Same location. Now the manager that let us in brought her husband with us, and we had gone through and we got into the basement, and we were underneath this one part of the building that's over 130 years old, and they had renovated and everything else. And there's a window in rock above the building that it used to be, right? And one of our investigators was there and just said, "Did you see that?" And the guy, the husband said, "Yeah, I did." And here's seen a shadow figure go across the window. Check on the other side. There's nothing there that would even cause that. So it was a validation for somebody that did not believe into something that, oh, maybe there is more to this than meets the eye. So that was cool. We have another place that we've gone to, and unfortunately, because of COVID and things like that, it's now for sale. And this place too, Trey, is the castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've caught some pretty good activity at the castle. I mean, you and Glenn and Janessa were downstairs, Tracy, in the main room, or in the one room, and all the different millimeters and K2s were going off. We were there, and Janine caught, well, I'll let you explain that.
The tall and the small, I call them,
Yeah.
again, with an SLS camera. And the thing about SLS cameras is you really have to pay attention and make sure that what you're seeing isn't really just a lamp post or a chair or, something that
Absolutely.
is really there.
100%.
But when you get it to respond to you, that's when it gets really interesting. And so when the tall appeared, we said, is there something, because the leg had been kind of stiff. And I said, is there something wrong with your leg? And as soon as I say that, the leg bends. And we said, can you knock on the wall? And the hand comes up and goes like this. That puts a whole different dimension into that particular device, whether people like it or not. But if it direct responds, it's really interesting, at least for me.
And we've got 3 SLS cameras in our group. One of them, Troy's he's got the Bill Chapman's version. So it's not just kinetic. So it makes it a little bit quite interesting. I mean, he's got the one where he's taking with Glenn, and I don't know if you've seen that, Tracy, but he's got the SLS pointed at Glenn, and there's a figure dancing on top of his head. So certain things you can't explain, you whether you believe or not in that piece of, you can always take every piece of equipment that's ever made in the paranormal, other than, the real thing, when I meant the real thing, I mean the intuition and the psychic and the medium ability. If you take K2s, if you take millimeters, if you take all of that different type of equipment, it can all be discredited. But if it's used in the proper way, there's things that come out that you can't explain. For me, I think the digital recorder is probably the best piece of equipment that's out there. If you've got a digital recorder and a good K2 meter, I think that's two of the keys if you're starting out, because you'll catch more on the digital than anything else. Anyways, that's some stories.
Awesome. Yeah, we've had some success with SLS and getting responses. I think we use a digital recorder 99% of the time. It's one of our main pieces of equipment. So I did have another question as well, kind of goes along with the most memorable investigations, but what's your scariest experience?
I don't have a scary experience, not yet. I really don't. I'm kind to them. I treat them with
Yeah.
respect. I walk in there and say, we're going to leave this place exactly as we found it. And we want you to stay where you are and enjoy your lovely situation that you've created for yourself. So the whole, it's a demon thing. I'm not that type of person who's cool to scream that out. So no demons.
Yeah. Tracy, I don't know, for you?
Yeah, not really scary. Like I get shocked really easily. Like I'm reactive when things happen, but I haven't really been scared. The most interesting sort of maybe scary, like I know on our Facebook posts or on the Cornerstone Facebook, they were talking about investigation hangovers. So a couple times I hadn't done like proper like clearing practices or whatever. And it was like, I was sick, I was nauseous, I was throwing up, feverish, that whole kind of thing. And it's like, okay, how much of that spirit or how much of that energy came home with me? So that's happened to me a couple times. And like feeling drunk when I wasn't, which is a shame because like I want to make, if I'm going to be drunk,
Have
I
it
really
real.
want a reason. No, so yeah, nothing really that's been like, oh, I feel in danger. But I did sort of have one that kind of creeped me out a bit that I don't know that we can't talk about the witch's house.
Yes.
The witch's house. So we were upstairs in that one bedroom and I really felt like I could, there was a lot of like, felt like murder and it felt like just creepy. And I felt like it felt like jinn energy or what I'm hearing a lot lately is like the watchers. I have no idea what that means, but the watchers was like, there was a real entity outside the window and kind of scared me on a not like physical way, but kind of like, ooh, yeah, I'm not so sure about this place. Then go to find out she has like a full on human skeleton in a box right behind me. But anyway.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
The medical,
Yeah, she's quite the collector.
I
not a
post
medical
some-
grade one either. No.
I post some of the things that she sells, and that full on and where she gets it, I have no idea. But there's some unique ones that I post from time to time, and it's there was a when she was moving from the witch's house when she was being renovated, and there was in the same room was an old school sewing machine. It's not electric, okay? It's one of the pedal ones. And the K2 meters just went off the scale at that machine, which was really unique. And Catherine even felt energy beside the closet area in there. So that was neat.
Well,
For
that was
me-
the house that the door slammed.
Yeah.
Remember? Twice.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
on its own.
Yeah, it was, there we go again. For me, I think it's more, if I walk in, we've been into a couple locations where you'll feel dark and light energy. And then, so it's nothing that scares me. I think for me, dark energy, or if you feel darkness, it's for me, again, this is my opinion, it's more confusion than anything else. I think that it's trying to figure out what am I and who am I and what am I doing here? We found this at the First United Spirits Church in Burnaby, and there is a dark energy down in the very pit of the church, and then there's this light energy, and we find this out that we don't know what the dark energy, but the light energy happens to be a small child, a girl, Russian, that likes to run back and forth across the roof. And yes, that was kind of cool to be sitting in the pews and doing our thing, and you can hear this running back and forth. And no, it's not a squirrel. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Janine has a really fantastic way of bringing out the children spirits. She's the Pied Piper of.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
We could have
she's
used her at
amazing.
SK Pierce.
That and animals.
Animals. Yeah.
Um,
Dogs.
Well, in reality,
Dogs.
she would prefer dogs and children to large humans anyway. So that's just her.
Yeah, it's okay with me.
Yeah, no, we've been fortunate and we'll go to places that have been rumored of having paranormal activity and not found anything.
Hmm.
And we've also been to places that don't have any record anywhere or stories about anything paranormal, and we've caught some of the best things that we ever had. Kilby was one of them. We never heard of any stories there, and we've gone in there and just been mesmerized about what's happening.
Probably if you're going to sit in the dark and read aloud to entities, something like Peter Pan is a lot safer than, say, The Exorcist. I'm just going there.
Maybe.
I'm just saying.
All in the choices. All in the choices.
So what does each of your team do? This is most of your team here.
Yep.
Tabitha, what type of what do they bring to the table? Or
Well, we all are very, inquisitive in the paranormal. I believe most of us have had, previous paranormal experiences in our lives, which is what brought us into the field. I think really the only person who really hasn't had much previous or was not aware of it was Brad. He's kind of our skeptic a little bit. He's our debunker. He's our oh, there goes my cat again. Sorry, cat butt.
I think I've seen something fuzzy going across the screen.
Oh, you put a video camera up and she's in the middle of it. So
it's real, I swear. She's right there.
It's real. So he's the one that likes to debunk everything immediately, which is great. I'm more of a, okay, that happened, let's go running towards it. And he's always like, no, wait, let's figure out what happened over here first. And it's like, no, I want to go continue chasing whatever it was. And he's like, no, I need to figure out what happened here first, which is great. So we have Chris Sanders, who joined us a little late. He's the founder of It's Haunted Crew. We have Nick Cates, who is our co-team lead.
Oh.
And then we have Jason Aiello, who's iPhone.
iPhone.
He's iPhone.
Hi, Jason.
His new name is iPhone. And then Brad, who's my husband, and then myself, who is the team manager. We're all investigators, and we also have Kim Dorman, who is, like I said, not feeling very well tonight, so she didn't feel like didn't join. So
It's really important to have a skeptic, or we should all go into any investigation with skepticism, right? Because it's so easy with the adrenaline and everything. Because I know I get that way too, just with the energy, and I get all amped up, and everything's a ghost. So it's really great to have that, real. I feel like Janine and Paul are really that way, and Glenn as well is really good that way for us who are real sensitive to energies and sensitive to just living energies as well. That it's nice to have that grounded person that's like, oh no, that wasn't a ghost. My stomach growled or whatever.
It's usually Brad's stomach growling.
Yeah.
We're fortunate. We've got members in the team, and I mean fortunate. I mean, the team members to me are more than just team members. They're friends and they're more than that. They're family. And when we go to an investigation, it's really neat to see their energies come out. Like Tracy was saying, she had talked about the Sasquatch Inn. I remember that one vividly because before the investigation even started, Tracy and Catherine and Glenn came up to me and said, we're going to have an experience here because you guys were almost physically sick coming into it. And but they're like the lightning rod, right? Before you even get into a location. Glenn's really good on finding out the history of the location. So we got some background as to what it's all about. I remember we did this this place in Gastown, and it hadn't any rumors of having an activity, and nor did we catch anything. But we were able to get in there, and Glenn said, well, did you know that there was a livery stable right next to it? And he gave us information that we didn't have a clue, nor did the owner.
wow.
So it's really neat to have that as something you can reach out to, and something that they can be part of. It's cool.
Yeah. So who's the psychic on your team? Or all of you?
Not me.
That would be
Chris.
Chris.
It's better
Yeah.
to be Chris.
Had a
Sorry.
feeling. Yeah. I had a feeling.
Yeah.
Psychic to
You can't hide,
psychic.
Chris.
Oh,
I am sensitive and empathic.
You're
Yes.
you're an empath. Yeah. Bless you, empath. I thank God I'm not one. Yeah, it's a beautiful gift, but it is so sometimes
Training.
difficult to be in it.
I also am sensitive as well. So that's
Very cool. Do you have a lot of activity in and around your area, or do you find yourself having to travel more?
being in Rhode Island, traveling a lot, because we're the small little place that nobody hears about. You could even skip over our state if you really tried to. I mean, there's no reason to go there.
Oh, you're there.
I think what I've found recently is that, at least in the past couple investigations we've done, it's when we go into these investigations, it feels like it's been really quiet. And then when you go and you actually review the evidence back, you find that there's stuff there that you didn't realize that even happened. To me is such a crazy experience to have. Be like, okay, we knew that this was quiet when we went there, but we actually caught something in that moment. It's incredible.
So rewarding. Yeah.
It is, because it's tough. You kind of want that instant gratification when you're there. You're like, okay, you want something to happen. You want to will it to happen. And you feel like for those 6 hours, man, nothing really happened. But to Nick's point, when you look back, or if you listen back to the evidence, and you're like, holy crap, we did actually catch something.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Takes a
It
special.
would be great if it happened as quickly as a TV show, but in real
Right?
life, it's like-
All in the
Never
editing,
happened
right?
like that.
gosh,
Yeah.
right?
Really good
It's
editing.
it's when you go and talk to somebody for the first time, and you want to, as a group, we'd like to be in and come into your place, and you're explaining, we're not the television show, we're the real thing. And then you get that click, like, oh, really? Okay, well then this has happened, and things like that. And as much as you'd like to have that glass come across the room when they were there, it doesn't, it's not, that's saying something that's going to happen like that. That would be the oh wow sort of factor if that happens. But no, it's not like the 3 or 4 days of television programming that's got to be cut into half an hour show.
I tell people it's very boring sometimes to be an investigator. It's really not. It's because we get, I know with my children, they ask me all the time, oh, when can we go? I'm like, you are going to drive me nuts, because you're going to be bored after an hour, because nothing really happens, right? Like, you really have to love this shit. Oh, I did it. Sorry, Tabitha. I said I wasn't going to try. I was going to try not
All
to.
right.
It's all good.
You gotta love all this stuff. You gotta love it to really put the time in, because it's exhausting sometimes. It's one of the best things I love to do as well, but you really have to be invested in at some level, for sure.
Before our last investigation as a team was October 31st. We had even scaled everything back starting in March, April of this time last year, because we're more concerned about our team and being safe and everything else, but also for the locations that we're going into. It's fine if it's closed down and you can go in. We're still not going to take the risk. Not until it gets to the point where I can say, I'm a hugger. So I'd be doing one of these and everything else like that. So it's really
But
hard,
not in a creepy way.
not in a
okay.
creepy way.
This is live on
It's
Facebook, dude.
really hard not to not have that camaraderie.
Yeah.
And we miss that a lot. And it's probably not going to be for a while up here either. We're just gonna, there is some teams that are doing it, and I just thinking for me personally, I think that's a mistake. I just think that let's just be patient. The ghosts aren't going to go away, and if they want to, they could anyways. But let's just take the time and be safe, and for those places, I know of a few of them already that they're done, and we won't be able to go back ever because they're closed. They're not going to be doing
That's
anything.
unfortunate.
Historical locations, museums, places like that. My God, it's really hard to see how much they suffer during this time. We do fundraisers for museums.
Historical
Yeah.
societies. We like to give back to people who let us do what we love to do.
Yeah.
So from time to time, if we can, we'll try to do a benefit or a meet and greet so that some of the people in the neighborhood can come in and try a little ghost hunting if that venue allows, and just kind of, charge a minimal fee, and everything goes to that particular society.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, before COVID, we were probably doing 1 to 3 investigations a week. So, and again, it gets back to my initial thing, is where it gives everybody an opportunity. We've got a calendar, and we can sign in and say, and they can say, okay, I can be at this one, because everybody's got lives. So we understand that. But it's kind of fun to, because we don't charge a dime for anything we do, and they can go and sell it out or whatever, and have a meal, or if they can, and 100% of the proceeds goes to them. And so that's, if it gets them another coat of paint or pays someone's salary, perfect. That's all we can ask,
That's the way to do it.
Well, like Janine said, it's part of giving back, right? It's just not exploiting the place.
One of the things that we do that not all groups do, and it's really just up to the group whether they do this, but we invite the people to join us on the investigation who are running, say, the historical society. So if you invite us in and she says, yeah, I think there's something going on here, would you like to come along and participate? And obviously not children, but we find that helps bring some things out sometimes, because the entities are already familiar with that particular person. So for them to be there and for us to be with them, it sometimes just opens the doors a little easier.
Right.
Yeah. And then they share that, and then they maybe remember something that they forgot, like, at the Sasquatch Inn. I'll just refer that again, but, they'll talk about their experiences and how it came to be for them.
Beautiful, actually. The story, because part of this whole thing is the history of the story. That's really why I feel like a lot of us are invested in investigating. We're invested in investigating because we want to know story. We don't know what came before. We want to know, like, we're invested in history and in future. Like, how is this all going to affect us? How did we get here? That's my opinion. Anyway, that's what I love about it. The story, because we all are going to be ceased to be physical meat sacks at one point in our life. And so we don't want that story to go away, right? We what's our story going to be? And if we can glean a story from some sort of spirit that's maybe not even haunting a place, but just deciding to reside there once in a while, then isn't that a beautiful thing?
It's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All about that history. I love it. It's, looking for those answers.
We are from Vancouver, the city that has most of the supernatural television shows filmed here. So
Yes.
Is that where the Sasquatch Inn is?
a little bit outside,
Yeah.
maybe an hour and a half drive. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
So, and then just up the road is the for lack of a better word, the Sasquatch Ski Resort, and we've had activity up there, and
Oh, wow.
it's we had 2 REM pods sitting on a pool table. Again, nothing. I mean, it was shut down. It was before. It was after. No, sorry, it was before the ski season. It was September. This is not this year, but the last year, and the REM pods would interact with questioning. So we'd ask a certain question to one REM pod, and it would react accordingly. And then we change and talk to the other REM pod, and then it would go off. So that was
Wow.
a unique experience. We're fortunate. We don't. At least we try not to have locations where we stay overnight, but there is locations that we can, and they allow us to do so. And some of these locations, beautiful places, and that they shut everything down for us to be there. Wow, that's incredible. I just find that humbling. It really is,
Yeah,
So
it's amazing to have a location like that for sure.
do you were saying some of your investigations, are they overnight, or have you ever
Some.
gone to that extent?
Yeah, some last overnight. Some of them are, a quick home investigation for 2 or 3 hours because that's all the homeowner can give up. But yeah, sometimes we'll spend all night at a location. Sometimes we wish we could stay longer, but it really depends. Right now, due to COVID, a lot of things aren't open. Like if we go to an asylum or something like that, we can't stay past like 1 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah. Sometimes, most times we gotta whatever they can afford us.
Right. Yep.
Sometimes we're lucky, and like I said, we get that overnight place
Right.
that we can stay in if it's a hotel or something like that. And other places, we've got to stay until the last person with the key is going to lock the door.
Yeah, I understand that. So how do you guys, I know what we do, but I'm just curious about other teams. How do you guys detach yourself from an investigation, from like chances of something following you home? I'm just curious about how other teams do that.
We do what I call the paranormal Miranda rights.
Yes.
We were a guest on another show that was hosted by an ex-police officer, and he started to get really tough in the last quarter of the show. And he's like, "Well, what do you do?" I'm like, "Well, why does that work?" And I'm like, "Well, they're like Miranda rights, like they're good to have just in case, because you don't know what's going to come down." So basically, whatever we do going in, we reverse coming out. Right. So when I go into a situation, I say, we're not here to harm you. We're not going to hurt you. We're not going to ask you to leave if that happens to be why we're there, because there's different circumstances. Then as we leave, we remind them that we didn't break our promises and that it's important that they stay where they are.
Yeah. I think, Tracy, you do a little bit more on
Yeah,
that, because they more have a habit of attaching to the psychic mediums in our group than anything.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know I don't know why, but I feel like I have to have a bit more of a ritual, a bit more of a ceremony. So I have Palo Santo in my car constantly. And so I always do a little smudge with the Palo Santo. It's my favorite. I'm not a sage doesn't work for me as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I always have crystals. So I always do like kind of almost like a connection practice before I go in. What are the crystals that are going to really help this time? And then every time before I get in my car, I wipe my feet. So I do it like a physical wiping of my feet before I get in my car. And then before I go walk into my house, I also do that, and a real cleansing. Doesn't always happen. And I'm also really bad at remembering to do that. So that's when the physical symptoms can come, right? But there is also ways of getting them to be removed and go back to where they came from.
Yeah.
You carry stones with you, don't you, Tracy?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I always have crystals with me.
What ones work the best? Because I just started getting into like crystals and stones and stuff, and we have quite a few places out here, and I'm just trying to familiar.
We're talking to a good person there.
Yeah, well, there's so many. Each one is different. So what I would say, like if you're worried about attachment or somebody or something or energy coming home with you, so always have black tourmaline at your home. at your front door, right at the sill of your front door. Black tourmaline is all like low vibration energy. It really has, it's like almost like a slug can't go over copper. It's the same for like a lower vibe energy can't. But for me, I really love like the shaman stone. So like all of the blue stones, absolutely love. A really another good one is selenite. So selenite is what's called, I call it the spiritual vacuum cleaner or the energetic vacuum cleaner. So it just basically sucks up all the stuff that you don't want around you, and it never has to be cleansed. It's one of those ones that's just kind of like, it's a beautiful, gentle energy, but it has like a superpower of like being like chasing after those mofos that want to get close to you, right? So just to name a few. We could go on for, this is a whole new show. I love crystals.
No, you're like, when you ask that question, I'm like,
Like,
okay,
see my eyes light up?
Bang on.
Oh, my people.
That's her. Straight up. Yeah,
They've
no,
been
that's good.
attracted to what's known as my white light or whatever I've been told multiple times. And then I've been followed home a couple times. So I'm like, yeah, I need to come into some crystals, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, crystals are really helpful. And, I mean, nothing is a magic pill. It just sometimes makes the pill easier to swallow. I don't know. But yeah, but if you have something that is really repetitive and really something that you do every time, then your own energy kind of repels that attachment, if that makes sense, right?
And again, if your viewers have questions like this, by all means, our Facebook page, like Tracy says, is a form for that. So even if you're just starting out, like you are, and for some people that haven't done that, ask those questions, because we won't allow that sort of negativity in the comments or anything like that. I mean, I don't think that's fair to people, to asking something that's personal to them and just trying to find out information, and then somebody just poo-poos on them. I don't think that's right. Now sorry, I did a little background on you guys, and you do cleansings and or clearings as well. That's something that just we don't do as a group. What we do is, and we tell people that when we go into, but we do have people in our group that have that skill. And I will say, okay, you want this? Fine. I will point them in the direction that they need to go and talk to this member, this member, this member, and they'll take care of you. But as a team, that's not something that we do.
He didn't say dismember. He said dismember.
So you guys actually, have you done a lot of that, or is it just something that, how does that work?
Yes. So cleansing a home doesn't just involve me, and it's not just the team members. Team members do assist with some of them. But there's kind of like a foundation of different investigators in New England, like demonologists and stuff like that. And shaman healers and whatnot, that will actually, if the house is bad enough and it needs a super good cleansing, we'll do a deliverance actually on the home with a demonologist. So it's kind of like giving a house its last rites kind of deal. It's like our Hail Mary when things go bad.
Sure.
But other than that, we do the stages. We let the spirits know if it's not a super bad haunting and the people want to live with it. We go in and we just tell the people, you got to understand that these spirits were here first. They want to live with you. You want to live with them. They're kind of upset that things have changed. They probably don't even know that, they're dead. So as a cleansing, we try to get them to know each other kind of deal. And if the activity just keeps acting up, it's a simple cleansing. We try with sages, we try with blessings, holy water, that kind of thing. The best we can do anyways, before we call back up.
Cool.
We try to ask the questions going in. It's not a cleansing, but trying to learn who we're talking to.
Exactly.
So we'll ask, is there somebody that you want us to talk to, or is there name or something? And we will, if we get something, we'll say, we'll do everything in our power to find out if you've got somebody that you want to reconnect. We'll try to find out what age you're from and where you're from and things like that, and see if there's actual. We did that in the Stanley Theater, and it was in the green room, and it was the reactions on the K2 meter was crazy. It was the interaction. It was the one. I've got a 15-minute video of it, because we would ask the questions and it would react accordingly.
That's
And
awesome.
that was way cool. But we found out through our questioning that this person was in vaudeville, that they did it was back in the 50s, that there was all sorts of things, and it's exactly true for that particular theater of what it had gone through. So
Yeah,
those
see,
type of things are cool.
And it's not always who you think or who they think. So this is one of my favorite stories. We're in a historical site and we're doing an investigation, and one of our team members, Jude, who is also very intuitive and psychic, and goes, "Who's Kevin?" And I start to laugh because I'm like, "Kevin, don't you mean Alexander, Elizabeth, Mary, some historical name from the past?" She goes, "No, Kevin." I'm like, "Okay, right." And I'm sort of laughing to myself. So
We can
fast
say
forward to
that's-
when we're doing a benefit for this particular place, and there's a group in, and I'm telling that story. I'm going, so Jude thinks there's a Kevin, and there's this hush in among the people, and then woman nudges her husband, and she goes, he goes, "I'm Kevin." And we go, no, we were looking for an ancestor of the person of this particular place. He goes, "This is my grandfather's house."
Oh man.
Go
And
on.
so I went, "Oh, I guess that was my big faux pas. There really wasn't Kevin." So like it's not always what you think it's going to be.
Exactly.
And it wasn't planned or anything. We didn't, and same with the museum curator, didn't know that he was going to be there.
Yeah.
And so he had actually gotten married in this museum, and that was way cool.
Yeah. Egg all over my face that time. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is.
You never know what you're gonna say, That's the best thing. Spirit communication. I love it. So I have a question too. Again, so us as a team, there's a certain location that we love going into. Like, it's our favorite spot to go. And if I asked my team right now, I'm pretty sure I know exactly what they would say. I would love to know, what is your guys' favorite location to go to that you keep going back to and it draws you in?
I think for me, and I'll leave it up to you guys. But for me, it has been the castle. We've probably been there about 8 times, and we got a really good working relationship with the owner and of this facility, and the general manager and the director of entertainment there. We've all become friends. The owner has sort of gone out on his own, and but for me, that was the most memorable, because on 3 levels, this wasn't a penitentiary at one time, and this entire penitentiary has been torn down except for basically the gatehouse, or the house where everybody would check in, right? If you were a prisoner, you came through this particular building in order to get your ticket to your cell.
Yeah.
And they had cells in the basement. There was an underwater, or sorry, not an underwater, but an underground tunnel that came up from the waterfront. So basically, prisoners coming in could unload there, come up through this tunnel again to be incarcerated as well, without ever going to the outside. But for me, 3 levels of activity, and different activity on each level. That to me is the one that I absolutely loved going back to.
Yeah, no, me too. I really like it. We call it the castle because the facade does look like a castle. For
Yeah.
what was once a
That's what I was
penitentiary.
gonna ask.
It's the same. It was the same place. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time they invited us there, and they were convinced there was something there, and he's like, "I'm not going to tell you where they are. You go find them."
Yeah.
And we're like,
That's awesome.
and so we did our thing, and we came back down and we go, "This room, this room, this room." He goes, "Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where they were."
I love that.
There's at least, well, when we were there last, there's at least 7 entities that we've ran across.
Yeah.
And in fact, October 31st was the last investigation and happened to be there. And one of our team members, I don't know if you've seen it, Tracy, but he shared it, but the we actually got a part, I can't even say it.
Apparition.
Apparition.
Yeah, a half apparition.
On
And
like on film.
Yeah.
Or
it's-
sorry,
it's-
a photograph.
Military boots.
it's crazy.
Wow.
I just got,
Yeah.
that was amazing. For us, that was sort of like one of the holy grails of what you can capture.
Right.
And so that was it. I don't know. We haven't been a lot together on different investigations, Tracy, but is there any place that you?
Yeah, I love the castle too. The castle is fantastic. I don't know, am I allowed to talk about the dinner theater place?
Oh, yes, you can. The Giggle
Okay.
Dam.
The Giggle Dam. So we were only allowed to go there once, but I found that place very, very active. And I know that we would be invited back, but it's just because of what's going on in the world right now. But that's kind of a favorite for me that I would go back and back and back, because I feel like we're just touching the surface of
Oh, man.
who's there.
So that's another cool spot. And it's got, again, I think it was prison railway cars. I stand to be corrected on that, but they actually took the wood from the old railway cars, the wooden railway cars, and used that as part of the basement wall. So there's that energy coming from it as well. So mind you, that and the spiders in the basement, but hey, yeah, K2 meters were going off, reactions to questions. It was neat. You guys felt stuff upstairs. That's an interesting place.
Yeah.
You keep,
I'd like to go back there.
and then it triggers some other place that you've been to that, oh yeah, maybe this one sort of thing. Yeah. So, but for me, I think that's some of our favorites that we've been able to go on. So.
And the Kilby is always interesting too. But we talked about that earlier. That's where we found the child downstairs.
Yeah.
So I've got an interesting question for you folks.
Sure.
As far as I know, is in parts of different parts of Canada, there's some people that speak English and some people that speak French.
Correct.
Do you feel in some areas in Vancouver, have you ever gotten a French response?
Yes.
I've
Yes,
gotten
one of our he's not a member, but he's sort of a floating member who is one of the most renowned spirit box ITC people in the world, Bill Hauser.
Yeah.
One day we were at a theater, the Dunbar, because we can't talk about that one, and he was doing his spirit box, and we were getting some French coming through, and then because I speak a little French, and I had said something about because it was a theater, I asked whether est-ce que tu désires le cinéma, and the voice actually answered in French, talking about movies. It said oui, blah 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 blah. So that was very, very cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. You never know what you're gonna get. We've been to other locations where that we've had Chinese people try to reach Chinese spirits that are there, and so
Hell's Gate.
whoever you have with you who can help you in that situation is awesome. Yeah.
Even if they come as guests, that's always cool, because you probably get calls, can I come on investigation? You can't give that to everybody for obvious reasons. We've got a calendar set up so that we've got limits at certain locations for our own investigators, that we can only fit so many people in this particular place, otherwise it's going to be all us. And I think that takes away from some of the energy that's there. But yeah, if you can bring somebody along, we just happen to be at that, I know the location, the Hell's Gate. There was two Asian people that work there that participated in the investigation, and they were interacting or asking questions in their native tongue to see if there was any reaction.
The Chinese Asian culture is very prevalent in our locale.
Okay.
Wow.
So Yeah, Tracy, you?
Yeah, I had,
Process?
yeah, the last time I was out, we were at a cemetery, and the person was of Asian descent, and we were just asking questions and on about, oh, you know, do you miss your mom? Do you miss your dad? Like all these kinds of questions that are inviting answers. And we heard later on, through the spirit box came the word mai. And we're like, well, I don't know what that means. So we investigated later, and that actually, I think, means mom in
Wow.
Oh,
Mandarin, or yeah. So we looked
Cool.
up what Mandarin or Cantonese, I can't remember what it was at the time, what it was now, but I think I could be saying the word wrong, but yeah. So it was like very cool.
That's really neat.
So again, it gets back to the investor or the pre-investigation, just finding out as much about the property as possible. We've got another location that we've been to a couple times, but and we are going to be doing a fundraiser for them. Again, it's just that time. And at the Yale Historic, and there was a lot of Chinese that died on the railway that was built there. And so it's going to be, it's interesting to do the background checks and see what, you know, there was the whites had, the white miners had their chest for saving the gold, and the Chinese had their chest for saving gold. So it was like, you know, different cultures and working that, but still all the way around. That location has probably, I don't know, 400 people living there now. At one time, there was up to 40 some odd thousand people working around that particular site. So it was crazy. It was one of the largest gold producing places in British Columbia. So things you don't know. On the Fraser River, no doubt. So, yeah. But just trying to find out about the location always helps out a lot. So Chinese, maybe we have to bring along somebody that can speak Chinese to see if we can get some interaction there.
Well, yeah, I investigating actually recently at a home case this last weekend. There was a strange voice that came through.
Oh, he's muted.
Oh, we lost you.
Yes.
You
There
can
you go.
languages and stuff like that. And I tried communicating through my phone in different languages to see if it'll communicate to whatever was in the home, and tried, you know, French, Indian, and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. I've never tried it before.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, I guess, when you was sit and think about it, because if a lot of these spirits don't know they're dead, they still think they're alive. They're not going to have the wisdom of another language. They still want to communicate in their original language, I guess. Yeah, makes sense. That's cool. I just learned something.
Yeah. Okay. Your homework today is to, for the next investigation, you're going to
Learn Cantonese
There we
immediately.
go. That's it.
Babble app, right? The Babble app.
I'm Italian. Okay.
well, I mean, I find it absolutely incredible sometimes where, you know, you're working with a client, and then, you know, you find out from them that one of their relatives is actually, you know, speaks a different language, whether that's French or, you know, Chinese, Mandarin, whatever it may be. And then when you get something, a response to that, you could then go, okay, so who it is that's trying to connect to this client? I find that really incredible.
You can't always assume that whoever you're talking to is going to be speaking English.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
even if it's Canadian English.
All right. I have there is a question in our chat. What got you into the paranormal? Was it a personal experience? Or just a plain old interest in it?
I've had so many personal experiences that started with me when I was very, very young. And, you know, we were talking a little bit earlier about television shows and how basically they're entertainment, but let's not knock them too much, because until, you know, ghost hunters and ghost adventures and paranormal investigations, until they came on, I don't think a lot of us realized that we could do it too. you know, and so it was kind of like, and the, obviously when technology evolved so that we could afford to buy little things to do this as well. So they kind of went hand in hand for me, that even though I always had that exploration, it took until, you know, everything caught up that we really had a chance to go out and practice it with other people, which is really, really cool. But yeah, like crazy number of things I can't explain in my life.
How long for you, Tracy? You've been like forever, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much forever.
Yeah.
But not in a kind of formal way. It was just always that, like, really, like, and there was a lot of like, I've had tons of experiences, but yeah, what really sealed it for me, and this is really not about investigating necessarily, and I'm really going to age myself here, but watching The Exorcist, to be honest, I'm like, okay, there's something here, because I've been sort of feeling this way like kind of my whole life, and like, this is not that my head's going to spin, but you know, things like, it's like, oh, there's something outside, there's something esoteric. Now I'm hooked. Now I got to figure this stuff out.
I agree with Janine in you know, not because the paranormal shows have their own agenda as well, and some of it is, you know, brings out things that we might not think about, but it also gives us, we watch them, trust me, we do, to see what new equipment's out there. You know,
Like,
say,
what's that?
does this work? You know, what does this
How
do?
much does that cost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was my father, and he had passed, and he was a painter and decorator, and I could see him in his, I was at my mom's place, and my mom said, "There's, you know, my dad's right behind, and he's got his coveralls on, and they're all white and clean," and that never happened with my father, because he was always, you know, painting, and they were dirtier than skunks. Now we're one of our team members says that there is a man here in our place that she sees, and he's tall, and you know, not exactly sure what he's wearing, but we did the power went out here, I don't know, a couple months ago, and it took a wide swath of the city with us. And so Janine and I, well, let's just, you know, because we've had some weird shit happening in our place. And we said, well, let's just see. I did it.
I love it.
I'll put a quarter in the jar. And there's some, just as to see if I'll let Janine talk about Christmas lights, but we so we did we had, because it's something we wanted to do, but we haven't done it yet because we've been locked down or shut down. We tried the Estes method, and so Janine was set up and listening and doing all the, and I had the spirit box going, or she was listening to the spirit box, and I was doing the questions. And one of the questions is that I wanted to know is I wanted to know who's here with us, and she said the man whose works, and so of course that just, here we go again, goose pimples, sorry. And so it was, you know, and also Catherine coming over here has said that there is a woman here as well, which is kind of, our building isn't really old, but we've had some other activity.
Yeah, our Christmas lights stay on by themselves outside. We can turn off the breaker to the power, and they stay on. So it's certain colors that mean something to my childhood. And in a several strings of colored lights, the blue and the green ones are on and the others are not. Right.
The squirrels chew through the wires.
Every year. We replace them. Doesn't matter.
It's not the same strain. It's there's no way that they should be on.
And we have a shade garden, so nothing's coming through for the solar. It's not. It's so strange. One of my experiences that kind of shook my life happened to me when I was in my 20s. I was in Niagara Falls with some girlfriends at the time, and we were crossing a street. And this was the 80s, the big heels, the big hair, the whole bit. And
can you imagine?
Yeah. And it's never happened to me since, but time fragmented. So it went like tick, 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 tick. And at this point, I was no longer in control of me. And this voice said to me, step off the curb, push the girls back. You're going to get hit by a car. but you will be okay. And like I said, I am no longer in control. So I step off and I push them back and they're like, what the, and I'm like this. This car comes around, hits me. I kind of go flying on my tailbone and they're like, oh my God, because they would have been hit by that car. And then time went back to its normal, like, reality. It was the weirdest thing. And to this day, I don't think it was connected to me. I think it was connected to them. Just for whatever reason, I was the person who received that message to make sure that they were okay. That was crazy.
And she was fine.
I was fine. I had
A few bruises, but yeah.
but and I mean, we all know Niagara Falls has got crazy energy anyway, but
Wow.
it was just like to this day, like nothing to that extreme has happened to me, but it was crazy.
That gave me goosebumps. I got goosebumps.
I was not in control. Like, it's just like, okay, I gotta do this. Boom, push them back, and it was so weird.
Yeah. We still got to experience, we still got to investigate a little bit. Maybe I'll get Tracy's help on this one, but where you lost time between Toronto and Mount Forest.
I'm trying to stay away from the UFO topic tonight, Paul.
Yes, I was gonna say, we all know what you're talking about. We also know.
Yeah, I have experienced lost time as opposed to time fragmenting. I've experienced that.
Yeah, I have a experience with lost time too. So
Good. I feel better now. Thank you.
Was it in Ontario?
Were you heading up highway?
I
don't know how they took the car. I don't know, but I don't know.
That's funny.
So hope that answers your, we've each got different, I don't know, skills. I mean, Tracy has hers, which is the energy that comes, and don't close your ears, that comes off her is amazing. Janine, she can go into a room and sense what's happening, and she can talk to spirits or anything like that. Me, I just put things together. But again, I think we all can feel going into a room or going into a location, whether there's, maybe there's something there, maybe there's something reaching out to us, and then trying to bring that out. There was another location we do, it's another museum, and we've been there several times, and each time it interacts with us a little bit more and a little bit more. And like Janine said, we invite people we invite whoever is there to come along as part of the investigation. Well, there's 3 people there that now come along as part of the investigation. So they know them well. And having them part of it, and they're asking questions of what's happening. And we've caught orbs, we've got EVPs, we've heard a piano key. It's like different things that's happened over time there, and I just think they get more familiar with us.
We had footsteps behind us, and I made the mistake of calling the girl a child, and she screamed at me. So I then knew she was a teenager. Right? It's like, trying to scare the hell out of me, but yeah, like, okay.
Yeah, nothing creepy or anything like that. It's just, and we get that question a lot: is, are you afraid of doing what we do? And for me, I'm just too engrossed in what's happening and trying to listen or trying to see, or majority of our times, a lot of our equipment works better in the dark. Do we do day investigations? Of course we do. But a lot of our equipment does work better in the dark, and our senses, for those that don't have the gifts like Tracy, our senses tend to be more alive. Your hearing becomes more engaged. Your eyesight is trying to see things. It's so there's different things, but it's always walking into a place and figuring it out, right? So
That's awesome.
All
sorry,
right. Well,
Tom.
no, it's all good. It's great and engaging. It's always great to talk with other teams and see how you guys work and what tips and tricks we can pick up, because most of us are fairly on this team are fairly new to the whole group setting. I know Brad and I are about 2 years now with Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple years. Yep.
And think Jason, Nick, and Kim are the newer members, and we've had people come and go and trying to get that whole the melding of the right personalities to be able to
Absolutely.
successfully
Yeah.
do investigations and continue on, and
Yeah.
and we're dialing in on it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, our team is just getting into its third year, believe it or not. But we have members on the team that have been doing it for 35 years. I think Glenn is 35, almost 40 years. So
Wow.
you've got that wide range of experience in, and we've also got people that are just starting out. So you put that all together, it's a good, you get a good mix. But I agree with you 100%, Tabitha. You've got to get the right people that can work together. And sometimes you will have, even within team, you'll have some people that say, well, I really, you know, my energy with this person isn't great. So I won't come to, if they're signed up for an investigation, I'll just pass on it. And that's fine. But, you know, as a group, if we can, when we come together, one of the things I'm going to miss this year is having the July, you know, get together that we have at our place, and everybody comes over and has you missed it, Tracy. But
Some wobbly pops.
And just let go, and do that. But it's really, it's fun to do that. It's great to have that type.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
try
absolutely.
to do, we try to do gatherings too as a team and whatnot. COVID really put a pause on that. You know,
Yeah.
we've been,
It's hard for us if you've got, like, I know that team members have come you know, are in the area, and they'll phone us and say, geez, can we pop by? And for us, it tears us apart when we say not at this time, you know, because we just don't want the risk of even transmitting and doing that way. We just got our shots here within the last week. So, you know, it's, some people think that I can't get a shot or anything like that. Just take what's there now and then figure it out later. But it's I'd rather have it than not have it, and be able to do things again with the people I love. So, you know, let's keep it that way. So sorry, that's my political rant. I'm done.
No, we're right there with you. Like I said earlier, Brad and I usually head up to Canada every year for at least a week, and his parents come down and visit us for a week, and we haven't seen them since Christmas of 2019.
Yeah.
It's been
that's difficult, but you know, it's
17 months since I've seen my folks, and it's tearing me apart. So it's,
well, we've had a couple members on our team that have had COVID, and so it's really scary for that. I mean, I you know, it's tough. It is, and Trace knows exactly what I'm talking about. So. It's,
Don't worry,
you know,
we're gonna get to do it all again in 2 years.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yeah. But we'll be much better prepared and much better protected.
Yeah. Like we're all raring to go. I mean, it's like we created the new team on the interior because there's no way that all of us here in the Lower Mainland can go traveling to the places that we've set up to go to in the interior, and so. And even Vancouver Island for that matter. So we needed more people to be able to go to those locations. We've set them up. We can't let them down. And so they haven't been on their first investigation. Well, no, I lied there. We've had a couple people come down literally from Prince George to come to an investigation on the Lower Mainland. That's a big trip. That's an 8-hour trip. So for them to come down just for an overnight investigation, I think that's cool. But they're itching. they're so wanting to, you know, to do this. It's crazy. And
We might have to do a Cornerstone road trip to Maine, I'm feeling like.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome.
Collab
Or
would
vice
be
versa.
so fun. Oh yeah.
yeah, we
You know what I was gonna say, you guys have to do for me, okay, gotta promise to do it is you go to a dollar store and you buy Little Red Riding Hood or some like little kid's book, and you take it out in the field and you tell me what happens, okay? I want you to come to me and say, you know, I read the Three Little Pigs and this is what happened.
All right, we'll do that. Yeah,
Good call.
absolutely. Yeah, we're
and
we're
if you
quite
guys
excited.
if you guys come across something that Yeah, and then again, that's a whole thing about open communication and learning from other teams.
Mhm.
It's just to see, okay, you might have a different way of doing it than us, but maybe we can incorporate that into what we're doing, even though we've been doing it, some of us been doing it for eons. And that's the beauty about it all, is I don't think there's enough communication between teams. I think that there's a lot of loggerheads, and that happens out there. There's also and so there I've seen all the heads agree. So I think that there's teams that want to be the be all and end all, and that's unfortunate because I think it just closes down on others. And I believe in open opinion without being belittled about it, and because communication is, and I've said this already, but communication is the key. Talking about the paranormal is probably the most, for us that are in it, or for those that are experiencing it, is the best thing for everyone involved.
Right.
It helps out on that residential case. It helps out on that, that restaurant or historical location. There's all sorts of things. And it answers some questions, especially like for us, it's the joy about doing it and finding out about it all. But for somebody that's experiencing it for the first time, my God, they got to be just petrified or confused or trying to figure out what the hell am I, what is this all about? And so on and so forth. I'm sure, Tracy, when you first found out or experiences some of your gifts, and I'm putting you on the spot, sorry, but when you're experiencing some of this, you probably thought, is there something wrong with me? Or is there something that I should have, do I need to talk to somebody about this, or how does this
Well,
work?
yes. Yeah, exactly. And that was actually my story growing up, is that I put it aside for many, many years because that was, growing up in a Roman Catholic family.
Oh.
Knowing things was not super acceptable, and could border on evil, I guess, in some people's minds. So yeah, it was confusing. It's very confusing. And talking about paranormal to people, I loved what Chris said earlier, is introducing the person or the homeowner to that spirit, and they can have some sort of relationship potentially where it's very, very loving, and you get to the bottom of the story. And so not all paranormal activity is hauntings, right? And so rarely are they hauntings. And so if a lot of the times I feel like the spirit just wants to be noticed, just like when they were in human form. We all want to be noticed, or we all want to be validated at some level. So I think it's a real, with Cornerstone, and I'm sure with you guys too, there's a responsibility to the client to be like, you're okay, you're not in danger, right? And let's just see if we can have this beautiful, thankful, full of gratitude relationship with this spirit.
Yeah, no, that's true. 100%.
That's because I come from a Roman Catholic, my parents. That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm Roman Catholic myself. But
yeah, right. all those Catholics were giving them a bad name, but not really, because Jesus was the most psychic person on the planet. Like, let's be honest, he was a healer, a psychic, right?
I love it.
I'm sorry. Now your guys' page is going to blow up with
Oh, you're
dissent.
There you go.
I hope not.
That's what we're focusing on a lot now, is working with other teams. Like our team has been around for 12 years. And
Bravo.
yeah. So, a lot of people have come and go. They create their own teams and stuff, which is great. We support them all. But we want to reach our hands out there and, have communication with other teams, support each other. It's all about learning from each other. I mean, nothing's scientifically proven in this field, so why not just learn from each other? That's what we're all about.
There's still hope with quantum mechanics, right?
There we go. Yes.
Yeah, right. There's still hope. It's making all of us psychics a little bit more legitimate.
I love
All right.
It's the whole SLS dimensionalist theory,
That's right.
Yeah, that was
which I'm going further and further down, I must admit.
there was again post in conversation. There was an interesting article posted on our page and about SLSs, and how it was. There was an opinion or a story from one individual how people should not buy this. And what was curious about it is how different teams were responding to that link. and how it was talking about, no, I don't, I have had this happen or this. And again, it gets to every piece of equipment. If you know how to use it properly, I'm sure that when we started out, the coat stand really looked scary because it was there. I swear, and moved. Now it's no longer there. What's going on? So I get that. But it's like every other piece of equipment that you use, you got to learn how to use it properly. And you can still, like I said, every piece of equipment can be, belittled and it doesn't work or anything like that. That's fine. Everybody's can have their own opinion. Just be respectful of everybody else's and work around it. So I was surprised how that sort of blew up on our page. It was kind of interesting.
It's great to have debate though and hear other people's side, as long as it's not bashing and name calling and belittling, like you say.
Absolutely.
I think it's great, and no piece of equipment is ever going to change a true skeptic's mind. Like they have to have their own experience. So we could have all the evidence in the world. We could take video of an actual ghost Casper flying through the air, and nobody would debunk it. And so that's not really our job either, isn't to convince anybody of anything.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Present what we feel, know, think, hear, and everybody gets to make up their own mind. And that's a great platform that you give the Facebook group for sure.
When people find out that we do this, there's two reactions. There's no middle ground. One is like, you're out of your mind, you're crazy, like go away. Or the other reaction is, I've got a story for you.
Yeah.
Right? It's interesting to see which one's going to come
true.
out.
Yeah. My license plate is Haunted Crew, and I've got our team sticker on the back of it. And my box, and Brad and I do boxing 3 days a week, and there's a couple of girls in there that we had mentioned that we were going to go to the SK Pierce Mansion, and they were like, "Oh, what are you doing there?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm doing an investigation. Gonna go see if I can find me a ghost to talk to." And they're like, "Oh, wait, you guys do that?" And it's like, yeah, absolutely. And they're like, "Oh, we don't believe you." It's like, no, go look at my car. I'm serious. I do this now. I'm like, I'm into this. So it's pretty cool how you can start a conversation in the middle of boxing class. So it's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, it's sort of like you find out sometimes, whether your friends believe it or not is because you'll say, geez, here's my card. We're with Cornerstone.
Yeah.
And then they're like, really? Really? Or you could tell, like I did the other day, I was getting some therapy, not that type of therapy.
Not yet.
And oh, you guys are so bad. But I was, we got into the conversation, and she stopped. It's like, what? And it's like, oh my God, I've been looking at this. It was a person that I would have not thought in 100 years would be interested in the paranormal, and that was cool. It was good to see that.
One of my sons is a real audiovisual guy. Like he just knows technology like crazy. And I'm like, well, usually he's my oldest son. So I have 4, and one really wants to come on an investigation, really wants to come. And then the oldest one, I'm like, well, maybe you could come in video one time. He's like, are you kidding, Mom? I'm way too effing scared. Like he wouldn't even consider it.
You had asked about that. I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, no. So I have the two of them want to come, and 2 are like, nope. We're too scared.
See, I can relate to that because I'm a tech support specialist. That's what I do outside of investigating. So I've been doing that for about 10 years now. So I know most of the audio and tech stuff, and everybody else here, they know their stuff too. So.
But that's such a valuable part, because that stuff does not interest me at all. So I love when people know the tech stuff, because I can just feel.
Well, I mean, you look at Phoenix. Phoenix is a good example. He's an audio engineer. Plus, he's a musician, which is really cool. His music is phenomenal. But I can forward him stuff, and he can pick it apart so that he can come back and say, yeah, that's something real. We've got people that have a degree in cinematography,
Cinematography.
her.
Yeah.
So I can go to a pit with a picture and say, what in your opinion, what is this? So I can respect people for that, because we've got that type of skills in our group as well, which makes it kind of cool. So
What's your favorite place to investigate?
there we go.
Oh,
You guys
God.
ready?
Should we have the parade?
I'm gonna speak for everybody. It's the USS Salem.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
And how did you gain access to that?
I don't know, Chris.
So there's
Without telling secrets.
Greater Boston Paranormal Association. Don, he runs the ship. They basically put on all the investigations, all the events on the ship, and it's basically 100% of the money goes.
cool.
Yeah, it goes into restoring the ship and everything. And we've just become really good friends with Don, and he's been really good to us. And last year was our first time on the ship, and we've just experienced so much that we're like, this is home.
So you're saying if Cornerstone made a road trip, that there might be a possibility of getting on this vessel.
I'll buy
Oh,
the beer.
absolutely.
I'll buy the beer.
Make it happen.
Yeah,
We
we're
can
actually
yeah,
gonna
we can make it
have-
happen. We're gonna have Don join us on May 13th.
Couple weeks, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
May 13th. He'll be joining us for a chat and chill.
Because we're going to be going there
the
next month.
15th. Yeah, we're going. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's
Well, you're
already
always
like my
you're
third time there.
always welcome to share your something like this on our
Alright,
page. I mean, it's always good to get different different chats about it. I know that Tracy does one as well, so I got to get her to put it on our page. But
I did see that you guys are gonna do one tomorrow night with somebody.
yeah, which is kind of, they just come, sometimes they come out of the blue, sometimes we've got another, and it's something you should maybe take a look at. And again, it's about Para-Unity, or Tabitha, I can send it to you. But one of our new investigators in the interior runs a group that does Para-Unity, and she's got, I don't know, 40, 50 teams from around the world right now that are part of this group. And again, it's to share information and things like that, which is really, really cool. But it's also really cool to have her as an investigator too. She's one of the itchy ones to only get going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you want to send that
Nice.
to me, I'll get that out there to the rest of the team as well.
You got it.
But, all right, so we are going to wrap this up. It is almost 9:30 here in Maine.
Nap time? Okay.
Nap time, yes, absolutely. The sun's
I'm
already
guessing
set here.
You guys probably have daylight still, right?
We do, thank God.
So
It's, yeah. We also have flowers coming up, so not saying much.
We had snow this morning.
I know. In my real life, our plane was late, so I know you had snow.
Oh, yeah. Was not a fan.
No,
But on behalf of myself, Janine, and I'm sure for Tracy, thank you very much for
Yeah,
having
it's been a great
Cornerstone
time.
as
Thank you
part
so
of your
absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
a lot of your chit chat. I've enjoyed it. It's been a great discussion and chit chat. We like that sort of thing, and
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
you can reach out to us anytime if you need to. I mean, and we'll do the same if we're coming to visit your boat.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We've got lots of places we can take you to for sure.
Lighthouses. We got lots of
Oh,
lighthouses.
we got lots of
Oh.
lighthouses.
This creepy one. Grant!
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it, and it's great meeting you all, and we look forward to road tripping.
Absolutely, and chit chatting. Take care,
All right.
guys.
It was great
Good night,
meeting you
guys.
all.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
Maine.
Love to see you again, Trees.
Bye, Kennebec. Bye, Rhode Island.